Hello TOEFL takers. Skill number 4, paraphrase questions in the reading section of the TOEFL iBT. Let's start with an example. This is the passage. In the passage, they highlight one sentence and then they ask you this question. Which sentence below expresses the essential information in the highlighted sentence in the passage? So whenever you see essential information, it means that we are talking about paraphrase questions. Basically, what they ask you to do is that find the sentence in ABCD that gives the same information, the important essential information in the highlighted sentence with a different shape, either different vocabulary or different grammatical structure or both. Let's see how we're going to handle these questions. Step number 1, read the highlighted sentence. Step number 2, break the sentence into clauses to better understand their meaning and look for the paraphrase of each clause in answer choices. This is very important. Sometimes the sentences are long. You cannot just read the whole sentence and remember everything. So you're going to have to break the sentence in clauses and look for each clause in the answer choices ABCD. I break the sentence into 3 clauses. I'm looking for the first clause in ABCD. A does not have it, B has it, C has it, D does not have it. So bye-bye A, bye-bye D. We have B and C to check now. We are going to check the second clause and the third clause. Number 3, look for the essential part of each clause. Usually, but not always, the essential part of a sentence is subject, verb, and object. Pay particular attention to these 3 parts, subject, verb, object. Step number 4, if the sentence contains references to previously stated information, for example, they, he, it, read the previous sentences to understand what these references refer to. In the original sentence, it says, they came to America from Africa. So who's they? For you to understand who that they is, you're going to have to go to the previous sentence. Step number 5, ask yourself this. What detail can I omit, that is delete, from the sentence and it still retails its essential information? Details like exact numbers, well, we don't need them, are not usually essential to the sentence. We can get rid of them, which is the reason why they are not in the correct answer. So when you're paraphrasing, we shouldn't be looking for answers that has those exact numbers, those exact details, exact names. We are looking for something more general. But if those numbers and those names are essential to the sentence, of course we should be looking for them. Step number 6, eliminate. That is, delete ABCD. There are 4 types of incorrect answers. Too general, that is an idea that is beyond the focus of the passage. Too specific, a supporting detail instead of the main idea. Added information, that is partly true, the sentence is partly stated in the passage, but part of it is not discussed in the passage. And D, irrelevant, something that is not discussed at all. So whenever you see these, delete that answer choice, omit that answer choice. Now, let's look at some examples. Question 1 says, which sentence below best expresses the essential information in the highlighted sentence in the passage? Let's read the original sentence first. Some general preparation may be in order, and participants may want to take into the conference materials or data that might be useful if a matter comes up. Well, this is a long sentence, so let's break it into parts. I'm gonna copy this sentence here. I'm gonna break it down into clauses. Now, the first clause says some general preparation may be in order. That's clause 1. And participants may want to take into the conference data or materials that might be useful if a matter comes up. So I'm going to break it from here. The participants may want to take into conference something. Let's break it from here. Conference something. We don't know what that something is. The third part tells us what that something is. Material or data that might be useful if a matter comes up. Now, I broke the sentence into 3 parts. Let's see what those essential parts are. Let's basically shorten these sentences and get to those essential parts. Part 1 says, some general preparation may be in order. Maybe in order means it might be necessary. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write the paraphrase sentence here. Instead of maybe in order, I'm going to strike through in my mind, delete it, and some general preparation, some general prep is needed, right? This is the paraphrase of the sentence. How about the second one? Participants may want to take into conference something. So again, I don't have to paraphrase this. Participants can bring something with them, bring into the conference, I mean. So bring them what? Material or data that might be useful if a matter comes up. So again, I'm going to say material or data, but I don't have to repeat this part. That might be useful if a matter comes up. I could say material or data that could be needed. So you see, now I have 3 short clauses to look for. Let's look at this. Some general prep is needed. I'm looking at A. It says, although participants cannot be expected to do much, they should do some general preparation. So they should do some general preparation. We already have it here. So, okay, A could be for now. So let A be there. I'm going to underline this. B, the conference leader should prepare all of the material and data that will be used in the conference. Well, that will be used in conference, sure, but we are not talking about general preparation. So this choice is not our answer. Bye-bye. We are looking for general prep. C, there is a general order to most conferences, with participants contributing ideas and information. See, here we are looking similar sounding words, but the meaning is something different. It says there is a general order to most conferences. The focus is not on most conferences. We say there is a general preparation. We are looking for general preparation, and here we are not talking about preparation. Here we are talking about the order of those conferences. But the original sentence is not talking about order, right? It's talking about preparation. So C could not be the answer. Strike through. D, as general preparation, well, voila. So we have as general preparation here, underlined. So A so far, and D could be the answer. Which is the correct one? Well, we don't know. We're going to have to look at the second clause. Participants can bring something with them. And the third one, material or data that could be needed. A, although participants cannot be expected to do much. See, this is not stated in the original sentence. We are not saying, well, they could do much or they could do more than expected, or they could not do anything, or they're not expected to do anything. Those are not in the original sentence. So this is added information answer choice. The second part is correct, but the first part is irrelevant. Cannot be expected to do much, so no. Without even reading, we only have D left, but let's read. As general preparation, participants can bring material or data that might be a part of the discussion. Well, yeah, it makes perfect sense. We have general preparation, and participants can bring something, and that something could be needed. That is, could be part of the discussion. So the answer is D. Question number 2. This is the original sentence. This means that a reptile can survive on less than 10% of the calories required by a mammal of the equivalent size. The sentence starts with this. So what is this? For that, you have to read the previous sentence. The previous sentence says, well, first we are talking about reptiles, have that in your mind. Ectotherms, we don't need to know what ectotherms are. I don't even know how to pronounce them. These are technical things. You don't need to know them. I'm striking it through and I'm writing X. X is heat directly with solar energy by basking in the sun. So they heat X's, reptiles. Those reptiles heat directly with solar energy. Have that in your mind. By basking in the sun, rather than through the metabolic breakdown of food, as in mammals and birds. So reptiles are opposite to mammals and birds. They don't do metabolic breakdown. They heat directly with solar energy. This means that that reptiles heat directly with solar energy means that a reptile can survive on less than 10% of the calories required by a mammal of the equivalent size. Let's bring this sentence down. And now, instead of this, let's break it into parts. Instead of this, I'm gonna say X's or mammals. Let's put actually mammals. Mammals heat directly with solar energy, which means that a reptile can survive on less than 10% of the calories of what? Required by a mammal of the equivalent size. So we should be looking for all these three words. You know how to shorten them. I'm not going to shorten them anymore. Part A, mammals heat directly with solar energy. A, because a reptile heats with solar energy, well, we have it here. Sure, so A could be the answer. Let it be there. B, a reptile obtains only 10% of its calories from the metabolic breakdown of food and obtains the rest by basking in the sun. Well, no, because the passage says the reptile heats directly with solar energy by basking in the sun. Yes, by basking in the sun. But it says reptiles can survive on less than 10% of the calories required by mammals of equivalent size. So let's say there is a mammal and there is a reptile. Let's say the mammal can survive with, I don't know, 2,000 calories per day. Okay, this is the mammal, our mammal friend. Now, but a reptile can survive on less than 10% of the calories. So if 2,000 calories are used by the mammal, the reptile guy can survive on less than 10% of that calorie. What is the 10% of 2,000? 200 calories, right? So a mammal survives with 2,000 calories. Reptile survives with 200 calories. Let's look at B. A reptile can obtain only 10% of its calories from the metabolic breakdown. Well, the passage doesn't say this. The passage doesn't say that it obtains 10% of its calories from metabolic and the rest from another. It says that it survives on less calories than what is required by mammals. So B is directly wrong. C. Some reptiles and mammals are equal in size, but they require vastly different quantities of calories for survival. Sure, the sentence makes sense, but where did mammals that heat directly with solar energy go? So the first chunk, the first clause is not here. The sentence makes perfect sense, and it is true, but an important part is missing. We're not talking about solar energy, so bye-bye. D. Reptiles need to spend only 10% of their time. 10% of their time? The passage is not saying 10% of their time. It says 10% of calories. So this answer choice is just wrong. Well, voila, we are left with A without even bothering to check the rest. But let's check it together. You never know. Because a reptile heats with solar energy, it requires less than 10% of the calories that a mammal of the same size requires. Well, makes perfect sense. So A is the answer. Question number 3. Sometimes the designer disregards the context on the assumption that surrounding structure will later be replaced. I'm going to take the sentence, bring it here, break it into parts. Let's see what's what. Sometimes, that is important, not all the time, the designer, well, we could also use the synonyms for designer. Let's see what designers are mentioned here. The passage is architecture. So instead of designers, we could have architects. Have that in your mind. Sometimes the designer disregards the context. Fine, the first part, on the assumption that surrounding structure will later be replaced. So let's just paraphrase this part. Sometimes an architect ignores the surrounding on the assumption that, well, we could basically say assuming that what? Surrounding structure will later be replaced. Surrounding buildings, well, will change in the future. Do you understand the sentence? Let's look for the first clause. Sometimes an architect ignores the surrounding. A. Some architects do not like other buildings. Now, where did that come from? The passage does not say that they don't like other buildings. So this is completely wrong. So I don't even need to read the rest. Bye-bye A. Most buildings eventually have to be replaced. So the physical context is not very important. No, because first, we don't have that sometimes an architect. We don't have the subject, architect. We don't have it here. Second, be careful with these extreme words. Most buildings. The passage does not say most buildings. It says that sometimes the structures will be replaced. So B is wrong. We are not even talking about architects. C, architects, well, voila, we have this. Often believe that, okay, let's see, believe could be used instead of ignores in a context. We will see that. So C, let's see B here. It could be the answer. D, designers should ignore assumptions. The passage does not say the designers should ignore. It says they sometimes ignore. So D is wrong. So before I go ahead and analyze choice C, have this in your mind. You see, finding the correct answer is usually harder than finding the wrong answers. Use this technique. It's called POE, process of elimination. That is process of striking out the choices A, B, C, D. Get the wrong answers out. This way you will get to the correct answers faster. Let's read C. Architects often believe that nearby structures will not always be there. Well, yeah, this is true. Nearby structures will not always be there. We have it here. The surrounding building will change in the future. So they ignore them. Well, yeah, they ignore them. We have it here. They ignore the surrounding. That's why C is the correct answer. All right, guys, we finished 3 questions from paraphrase part. You can go ahead and do more questions. I recommend 10 from pages 128 to 135 of the Delta's Key to the TOEFL iBT. Good luck in your practice.